Hi there, Vibe Gardeners. Welcome to another episode of Vibe Gardening in Firm Edition. We're going to talk a little bit about how my changes this year in my watering technique for my garden has not exactly worked out. I'm going to show you guys some of the signs of it and how to fix it. That said, let's go. Alright guys, so if you guys remember from my equipment upgrade episode this year for 2026, I talked about how I moved into a more reputable brand for watering, of my automated timer for watering, and then how I changed the hose from a tomato garden. And part of that, through the whole entire process, one of the things I didn't exactly replicate everything I did last year to the best of my abilities. So I started seeing symptoms of underwatering and inconsistent watering. So what I'm going to do here today, I'm going to show you guys kind of what the symptoms are that I've seen, and how might that gives you an idea of how to tip it off and what actually was getting the right amount of watering. And then I'm going to go into sort of my planned next steps on how I'm going to fix my problem and hopefully recover things. And hopefully my monthly updates after July, of course, right now and near the end of July, starting in August, hopefully we'll see some of the result of my attempt to fix my watering problem. So with that said, guys, here we go. Alright guys, so one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys some of the symptoms that I'm seeing that's really kind of showcasing that I'm starting to see that my watering is not consistent and underwater for a lot of the parts. So I'm going to start off by really showing you guys this tomato row I have here. The one that's actually meant to be in for tomatoes, this bed, and show you guys some of the symptoms I'm seeing here with tomatoes specifically. And then I'm going to jump into some other vegetables that I'm planting here, both on a verdict of um, bad watering method, how it's bad, and then, well, to show you guys kind of like, and then some of them, what if it's good, like why it's good for them. So that's kind of what I'm going to do here. So we're going to start with these tomatoes and see what's been going on, because this tells an interesting story. And so with that said, let's look at the tomatoes a little bit. So the first tomato plant we're going to look at is the one that's closest to the door here. See this door? And here's the tomatoes. And so this one is the one that I looped around at the end here. This is the farthest away from the uh, actual faucet. And this one seems like it is, as you can see here, this is a classic what's called blossom end rot. From last year, if you, I think I covered it last year with my episode on tomatoes. Blossom end rot is really at the end here, where the blossom used to be. There is what looks like a rotting hole here, like a damage. And the reality is that part of the tomato is actually just fine. But if you look around, they all generally have that a little bit. And and the funny thing is it's not like that with some of the other ones, which means that so that actually let's explain a little bit what is blossom end rot. Blossom end rot, what happened is that it's actually a calcium deficiency, in that the tomato doesn't have enough calcium from the ground. And generally speaking, in most of North America and most of the world, calcium is actually not deficiency. And you can do an easy, quick soil test, which I'll link one below, that will actually have good results to tell you whether you actually have calcium deficiency or not. And that actually isn't usually the case. So what happened here is that usually the case here is that it's actually a water deficiency here, because calcium is one of the least mobile minerals in the soil, and it needs quite a bit of water to actually take it to where the root needs it to be. So generally speaking, if you're seeing in blossom end rot, like this guy right here, these two guys, that means at that point in which it's developed, this plant didn't have enough water. And but the funny thing is, if you look at the rest of this bunch here, this one seems to be fine. And I just broke that off. Blooper reel, guys. I'm not editing this out, but as you can see here, this one is totally fine. And actually, I suspect this one to potentially be actually ripe because the heat wave a couple weeks ago, once the temperature gets above 90 degrees Fahrenheit, tomatoes don't change pigment. I'll leave this on the counter and see if it ripens into good flavor. But either way, as you can see, this one has no blossom end rot at the bottom. And so what that tells me is that there was water deficiency at some point in this plant, and it's got, generally speaking, it's fixed. So I'm guessing it's potentially the heat wave. And at that time, I actually increased my watering because then I was watering with 3 days between each watering. So on the fourth day, every fourth day, I'm watering these plants. And I also actually only started on 20 minutes of letting these new sprinkler hose water. And it's kind of enough, but then I increased it to 30 minutes. And then it's now also, I reduced the frequency. I increased the frequency to reduce by a day of watering in between. So now it's watering every other day as opposed to every 3 days now. So yeah, so I think this will definitely help. And also the other thing too is if you go look down at the bottom here, as you see here, this is a great example here, is that it's not enough mulch on it because earlier I was planting all the alyssum and the oregano and the marigold, so I didn't mulch as heavily as before, and I was thinking I can depend on a lot of the uh, grass clipping I put on last year, and I think that's just not enough. And again, when you look at the tomatoes here, like majority of them are fine. Just yeah, you see again blossom end rot here happening a little bit. This didn't actually happen in the beginning of the season as much, but then it kind of came in when the heat waves started coming, which tells me that it really was a problem that was becoming more prevalent as again, there's another blossom end rot here. But then again, not one of the newer ones, because I think that's when I started to increase the watering. Watering is a real issue here, and I think essentially right here, as you can see with all these other ones, it's just the consistency is a real issue, and I need to increase it, which I'm addressing a little bit right now. So this is kind of like the story behind my tomato this year. Alright guys, if you remember this year from the conclusion of the cucumber moonshot experiment, we are now having this cucumber right by the wind corridor on the side of my house. And I also planted carrots at the bottom here. And one thing that is going on here is that because of location, I have not actually hooked this up to the automated timer for the water, for watering. So I'm basically watering this by a vibe, which I'm finding is actually not the best thing to do. And as I'll show here with these two carrots, I kind of, already harvested. And these are actually, according to the books, these carrots should be completely ready. And for Scarlet Nantes, they should be way longer and bigger than this right now. This is basically only about 2 inches long, approximately, and at most about 3/4 of an inch across. That is not very big for the big one. The small one's even smaller. The small one still about 2 inches long, but it's only about half an inch diameter, which is not very big at all. And the top looks quite healthy, as you can see here, as I'll do a close-up in a minute. And the real culprit here is that this really is lack of watering. Now, with the cucumber, it's not as apparent, so it's not as a great of show for you. But like, the cucumber definitely is showing also some signs of underwatering as well. So let me show you guys a little close-up, both the carrot and its tops here. So as you guys can see here, this is the top of the carrots. As you can see, everything's looking very healthy here. It's a lush green. There's no signs of disease or any other problems from the top. Nitrogen and potassium and everything. I know the nutrition here for these carrots are just fine. In that I've been giving it some potassium heavy fertilizer, and yeah. So, but then if when I put it out, I put it out like a day or two ago. As you can see here, you see the shape here. It's not very regular. It kind of goes back and forth here a little bit, in that it's generally okay. It expands and then it gets narrow again. This to me is kind of like, and I know the soil is not compact. It's I used raised bed soil here, so the soil is fine. So what that really tells me is that it's inconsistent watering and not enough watering. It's just not enough for the roots to really bulk up properly. So what I'm really going to have to do is really going to increase the consistency and frequency of watering to give these carrots enough water. And another thing is I also did not also take into account how water hungry cucumbers are. So it's likely robbing the carrots of a lot of the water as well. So that's something that I'm going to have to absolutely address as time goes on. All right, guys. So the final vegetable I'm going to show you guys that I think really showed me that it's really a watering was a problem this year. I'm going to show you guys a little bit of my eggplant here that I'm going to do a look again close up to show you guys that there is a crack in the middle. And what that really shows me is that watering is inconsistent in that there's been a dry spell and then a wet spell coming up. I mean, a wet season coming up for it. So what happened is that the dry season kind of gave it the dryness of it that basically forced it to basically get hard and everything. And then what happened was when the water came, it gave it a rapid growth that the skin of the eggplant is not ready for, and basically made it crack open. So since then, I've actually fixed the watering. Again, it's on the same exact timer as the tomato, and it's actually on two separate um, watering hose, and I actually also increased its amount of water coming out of it by about 5 or 10 minutes, and that too should be able to help it quite a bit as I'm not seeing cracking any further um, of the fruits coming from the eggplant. All right, guys, just kind of illustrate a little bit of the difference here. This is a eggplant I just harvested, and as you can see, it's a little early because right now it doesn't really go in kind of like a peach. But that's kind of like the timing of which I was able to harvest this guy because a crack formed. As you can see, the crack goes down perfectly the side of this plant. I had to harvest this a few days earlier because I didn't want it to mold or have issues. And this really illustrates the crack that you'll be seeing in your eggplant that tells you that the watering is not consistent enough and not enough. And so yeah, like once you kind of fix it, as you can see, this one will still be giving you that perfect shape with no crack. So if you remember earlier, I talked about this new raised planter type of raised bed thing I had. So this bed here, I was basically trying some my short season crops and arugula, green onion, and Thai basil. And nothing was really going. And even though at the top it looks like it might be wet, but I think the color of the dirt might be misleading me. Again, this is hand watered. So as you can see here, as I kind of increase my frequency to every other day, things are starting to come up again because this onion was basically having some of the dying onions here, as you can see from previously here, but it's basically starting to get resolved. And same thing with the arugula. It was really not going anywhere, and as you can see right now, it's starting to progress a little bit better, even though I do know that it's a cool season crop, so the warm weather might not be the best for it, but it is starting to progress a lot better with a little bit of water. And the crop that really is doing much better now are these Thai basil. It's actually getting bigger now, and yeah, I'm kind of packing a little bit more because just kind of for funsies here right now. But before it wasn't even getting past these baby stages. So a little bit more watering goes a long way with these guys. So now to our first set of crops that are not affected by the lack of watering are going to be these California Wonders or sweet bell peppers. And so these guys are on that every fourth day watering here with what could it or every third day with 2 days in between watering. As you can see here, the fruits are coming along. This one in particular has two larger peppers coming along, and the leaves are showing gorgeous colors and texture. Really not any sign of underwater stress, and it's kind of like this all the time. So it's not like it just got water today and it looks better. And as you can see back there, there's another bell pepper back here with this guy. I don't want to play with too much, have it drop like the tomato. And each one of them is starting to bear good fruit. And so this is how I know this guy is just doing just fine. And look at the parsley kind of just going crazy here. This whole entire bed is just happy with the level of water it's been getting. So why fix what's not broken, right? So I keep these guys on the same watering schedule as before. So another set of plants that are total champs with this kind of watering technique is my zucchini bed here and my herb garden. And if we come in here, we can see this zucchini plant being absolutely huge. And this is something I learned from last season is that I only really have to water this about once a week. Anything more might actually kill it with the root rot. And as you can see with the production here, once a week of deep watering is good enough. This thing is getting all kinds of harvest like that. So I'm already able to harvest quite a few really nice zucchini on it already. And I do have to come in here once in a while to water the marigold and the Javanese basil a little bit in between, like in the middle of the week. Same thing with the zinnias. These guys need a little bit more water, but like because of the way I'm able to target my watering, it's not really affecting the zucchini. And the same timing also goes for the herb garden. These herb garden actually are designed to be in drier Mediterranean climates. So the sage, the parsley, like we seen earlier, and rosemary and stuff, they're actually doing quite fine with the lower water. And I actually had to cut back the sage because I realized, it's getting out of hand and it's basically killing whatever was trying to grow under it. So I finally cut it back to make room. But by this point in the season, I don't even know what I can plant here to be able to overwinter if they're perennials. So, but either way, these guys are doing just fine. All right, guys. So I hope that kind of gives you an idea of what it looks like when you're underwatering your plants and your garden, and how to try to diagnose that and address it earlier. And now I know I'm kind of showing you guys how what happened to it after I addressed it within a week, like a week or more ago. I addressed it, and some of the results we're seeing. So again, to summarize that, we have tomatoes with a blossom end rot, cracking of the skin for eggplants, and then the carrots really just being underdeveloped are some of the really striking signs that you're underwatering. And just remember, you really want to do a deep watering every time when you water, and just don't do any of that shallow stuff because that's really not getting to where the plants need them to be. And always take into account the weather. If it rains and it rains a lot, you don't want to water on top of that. But try again, consistency matters. Consistency and the amount and how deep they go every single time is a big deal. So for me, for tomatoes, and basically everything else, just increasing the frequency by having one less day in between watering and watering for longer. That way, generally speaking, fix your problem. So I hope that gave you guys some idea of what I experienced and what I messed up this season. Hopefully that will help you prevent your season from going this way. I mean, I know it's almost end of March now. I mean, July now. So might be a little late for you guys, but if you guys see this next year or the coming years following on, I hope that gives you guys a great idea of how to prevent disaster in your garden. And with that said, guys, keep gardening and keep vibing. Let's go.